Hi, welcome to My Mini Addiction. I make and paint miniatures and terrain for tabletop gaming. This is part 2 of my mini collection tour. I encourage you to watch part 1 if you haven't already. I'll put a link in the description below. But part 1, I talk about a little bit of how we got into mini collecting and how in the last 5 years we have accumulated 4,700 minis. Yes, 4,700 minis. And this is a combination of minis that we've bought for RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons, and then also minis we've collected that from board games, because there are so many great board games and other tabletop games that come with amazing minis nowadays. And so in the first part, we went into our game room and we have a whole wall that is all these organizer drawers. So my husband talked a little bit about how he organizes things and what we use those for. And in this video, I'm going to take you around other parts of our game room and show a lot of our other minis. Now these are all painted minis and a lot of our larger ones. So I will just kind of do a little bit of a voiceover as I go through. My daughter wanted me to point out that I did film this with her phone because she has a better camera than my phone does. But I'll just kind of walk through and show you the majority of our larger minis. And we're always shuffling things around. As I finish painting more, then I kind of have to go rearrange things. And it's been an ever evolving, how do we store all of these minis? So I will take you through what we have in the game room. I am going to have to make a part 3 because as I'm filming that, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just taking a while to, go through and show all of these things. And I haven't even gotten to my painting room where I'm sitting right now, which I do have some painted minis here, but also I have hundreds and hundreds of unpainted minis just in this room. So that will be in my part 3 that I'm going to make. So let me take you over to the game room and walk you around and show you the next section of our mini collection tour. So enjoy. Here we begin with my curio cabinet that I have filled with dragons. Now this is a large assortment of the dragon minis that we have, and this whole cabinet are all ones that I painted. So a lot of them are Reaper. We have a lot of WizKids. I've got some Dungeons and Lasers in here. There's a Blacklist. I mean, there's just a large assortment of dragons, and at different times I've had them on open shelves around the place, and then I just hate that they get covered in dust, and so that's why I ended up moving them into this curio cabinet. But they are a little bit awkward to store because with their large wingspans, they're, constantly bumping into each other, and I can only put so many in there, and I have way more dragons than what fit in just this one cabinet. Okay, this shelf is just a huge mix of totally random minis. Now, majority of what's in here are larger, so they don't fit in the little drawers that we have. And this shelf is actually something that I built a couple years ago to hold our D&D books. So I made it out of some really thick wood, and below the shelf are two shelves that actually hold all of the adventure books, and it's the collection that my husband has of all the different editions. And I had just originally started keeping minis on top because it was a nice flat surface, but then I found that it was a nice flat surface for cats to walk on, and I didn't like it, things getting knocked over. Of course, didn't like things also getting, dusty as well. And I had put a top on it, but my local lumber yard actually stopped carrying the wood the same thickness, so it's a little bit narrower on the top. And then I had some scraps of acrylic, and so I kind of put a kind of angled acrylic panels down the front, and I hinge them on top, so then I can kind of flip them up and we can access minis. Like here's some resin ones, the Drow and the Lizard Riders. These are ones that I definitely don't want to get knocked over because they would break so easily. But this is kind of in how our game room's set up. So this is behind where the DM sits, and we have a TV mounted on the wall up above. And so it's kind of a neat backdrop, I guess, for games. But yeah, constantly moving things around in here, and it is so crowded with just so many random minis. And but it's just kind of a really a weird mix of stuff. Okay, and then here I was talking about sitting on top. So this is kind of in the corner. There's some of the Demon Lords. Some of those were pre-painted. And then in this corner of the room, I have this little shelf that has Artisan Guild pinup models. These are the ones that we have printed in a larger scale. Okay, this cabinet, sorry it's so dark, but this was something we got at a yard sale. So that top shelf had my fish market. If you guys have watched that video, I was able to squeeze it in here. Then this shelf is got just kind of some plant and tree, minis here in the back. That is my little playable tavern that I got. Those were all free STLs I found on Thingiverse years ago and put that together. This shelf, I've got like tons of elementals and Tarrasques, so kind of a different mix of stuff. So trying to semi-organize things, but this shelf is actually pretty deep. It was an old I think it was made for holding like stereo equipment, but got it at a yard sale. And then down here, this is the bottom shelf. I have random large animals. And so once again, weird mix of creatures, but sometimes it's just be like, where can I get them to fit? Okay, this cabinet is a work in progress. So another yard sale find, and I have the plans to turn it into a display diorama. So that's why it has the foam kind of in there. And I have a bunch of our mushroom terrain, because it's eventually I'm going to make it look like Underdark Caverns. Now right here is where I've been stashing. These are the Witcher Old World minis that I've been painting. I don't have a designated place for them yet. And since I am currently not working on this shelf, I just stuck them in here so I can put them behind glass. Same thing with my shipwreck. Then up on top is where I have my Sophie's Revenge pirate ship, and I have it behind a thin piece of acrylic to keep cats, again, out of it. So that's got one of my Krakens right there, just kind of surrounding the ship, and have a few pirates on the ship right now. But this is an up high thing, not going to be the permanent place, but this is just where I've been keeping my ship for now. And then, okay, so these are on top of those organizer shelves that you would have seen in part 1. So once again, random minis, haven't got a place for them yet. Like these ones here are things that I just painted this last week. So we haven't even put them away in drawers or found out where they're going yet. Okay, back over on the curio cabinet. So up on top, a couple of my terrain pieces. Now this is a shelf that just have a few gem dragons on. Oh, and then yeah, up top, this is where I used to keep a bunch of my dragons. Right now, these are all pre-painted ones. So they're still up there. I'm less worried about, them getting dusty. They're a little easier to clean. So that is it for now. And I will be back with the part, I'm going to call it part 3 of my mini collection tour, and I will take you around in my painting room and show you even more minis that we have. See you then.